The way we save in Maya is very similar to how you save in other software. You go to File and Save, or Save As. Save will just save the regular scene, and Save As will save it as a file. So here, whenever you go Save As, you can choose between two different formats. You have MyASCII and MyBinary. There's a big difference between these two, and that is that MyASCII saves it as plain text, while MyBinary saves it as binary. So if you were to actually save this in MyASCII, you can now open the file in a text editor later on, and I highly recommend that you stick with MyASCII. Now, MyBinary might be a bit easier, a bit lighter to work with, and there are definitely some pipeline arguments for that, but in general, I prefer to stick with ASCII because then you can open up the file, and if something goes crazy wrong with the file, let's say you can't open it for some reason, then you can always go in and you can potentially remove whatever is broken with it in a text editor or something like that. So saving is pretty simple. One thing we want to talk about as well is file and incremental save. So here you can see it's called saving.ma. What happens now if we hit increment save? Now it's going to be saving 001. And if you were to save again, we just have to do a quick change to the scene, just so it will allow us to save again. Now we save and increment save, and that's going to be 002. So incremental save is a really useful tool because it just increments your saving automatically without you having to do it. A lot of people use incremental save instead of actually saving. Just because then they're sure that every single save they do is a new model or is a new version, and then they go in and clean it up afterwards. Another thing as well is that we have to talk about auto-saving. Now, Maya is a little crash-prone sometimes, and some of that is due to user error. I will cover how you can avoid it crashing like crazy later on, and some of it is just due to the fact that Maya is a very old software with a very old core, so sometimes stuff just crashes. So auto-save is an essential tool for us. If you go to Window, Settings and Preferences, here we have all sorts of settings. And if we now go to all the way down here and we have Files and Project, here you can set Enable Autosave. So by default, it'll be set to, I believe, 10 minutes. I just changed this before recording. So 10 minutes, which might be fine. This depends on the size of your projects. Like if you're working on a server and you set it to 10 minutes and you have a gigabyte project, it's going to clog down the entire computer for around a minute every single minute. So it depends what you're working on. If you're working on an SSD and you have a very small project, you can set this to a minute or something. It doesn't really matter. And then where does it save it to automatically? It's going to save it to a project. Now we are going to be having a whole separate video on setting a project later on. But by default, if you haven't done anything else, it's going to live under here. This is under your documents, Maya, project, default, and autosave. So this is where all your autosaves are going to live. You really want to enable this, just you're safe, that you don't lose any work. This is going to save you hours and hours. You can also see that whenever you're saving something, you can see you have a little write out here of what's going on. So this just means that it just prints whatever Maya just did. So now it just saved the model, which is really handy. Another thing I want to talk about as well in the preferences editor here is that under Files and Project, we can also change the dialog to be OS native. So by default, you can see that it works with, if we were to save as, it actually has a Maya dialog here, which can be really annoying. This is their own file browser. So what if you want to use the Windows style one? Well, you can do that. If we go to Preferences, File Project, and we go all the way down here and set File Dialog to OS Native. Now we hit Save, and we go File, Save As. And you can see this is now actually the OS style, like in this case Windows 10, which just gives you access to all your favorites and all that kind of stuff. So some people prefer this, some people prefer the Maya style. It doesn't really matter, but just know that it's there.